Hello, everybody. How are we today?
Hello, teacher Michael.
I'm fine.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. So today, I've been looking at your teal paragraphs that you've been sending in to me, and they just keep getting better and better. So well done, everybody. We'll have a proper revision session in a lesson or two, maybe next Tuesday, where we go over everything that's been sent in. But today, the topic that we're going to learn about is how debates are scored. So we're going to really learn about what to focus on when you're writing your debates and when you're delivering your debates, so you can get the best possible score. So give me 2 moments just to bring my documents up. Okay. Okay, guys. Let's get started. So the first thing that we want to talk about is, so obviously understanding how debates are scored. So there are 3 ways normally that debates are scored, but today we're only going to focus on one of them. And the one we're going to focus on is where they actually score the debate. The other 2 are, they have a ranking system, and they also have, what's the other one called? Weighted scoring. But today we're going to focus on just the points-based scoring system. How do the judges give you points, and how do the judges decide who wins the debate? So first of all, the reason that we want to score a debate is so we can assess which team has done a better job of convincing the judges and the audience of their side of the argument. And so obviously the team that does the better job is the team that will get more points, and they're the team that are going to win the debate. And so the first thing I want to show you is, I'm going to share my screen here. You can't start your video, John. Okay, so the first thing that I want to go through with you is what the judges actually look for when they score a debate. So as we just discussed, debates are scored to determine winners and assess the quality of the arguments presented. So if we're able to understand how a debate is scored, then we'll be able to know what the judges are looking for, and two, we'll know what we need to work on to improve our debating skills. So in this handout that I'm going to show you, we'll explore the different parts of scoring and what the judges look for. And I'll also send you some videos to watch after the lesson today. And your homework will be to actually have a go at scoring the debates. And I'm going to send you a scorecard to use. So the first thing we look at is the components or the different parts of scoring. So when debates are scored, several components or several parts are evaluated. And the first one is content. So the strength of the arguments. How well have you put your arguments together? They also look for the use of evidence and examples. So that's why we were going into so much detail before about how to do your research, how to find evidence, because we want to really be able to use it well. And as well, the judges look for logical reasoning. So that means, if we remember from a few lessons ago, logical reasoning is just how much sense does our point make? How easy is it for anybody listening to be able to understand what you're saying? Are you headbanging, Katie? You listening to some rock music or something in the background? Oh, don't turn your camera off now. I might even join in. So, so those are the three things that the judges look for in your content: the strength of your arguments, the use of evidence and examples in your arguments, and how much logic and reasoning you use. So how well are you able to get your point across? Next, the judges will look for delivery. So they'll look for things like presentation skills. So that is, are you using any persuasive tactics in your arguments? So are you using things like rhetorical questions to get the audience to think? Are you using things like your repetition, your alliteration to help people remember the points? They'll also look for voice modulation. So that's your tone of voice, the emotion you display in your voice. So are you talking really quiet, and do you sound really sad, and does it just kind of look like you don't want to be there? Or do you have a big smile on your face? Are you projecting your voice? Are you talking nice and loud so everyone can hear? And do you sound excited to be there in the debate? That's something that the judges will score you on as well. And also your body language. So again, are we just kind of slumped there and, you know, sitting there like that, you know, telling people I don't really care? Or are we sitting up nice and straight and looking like professional, confident debaters? So these are other things that the judges will score us on too. Next, the judges will score your rebuttals. So we all remember from when we talked about rebuttals, that is just when you try to counter argue against a point that your opponent has made. So that is yeah, so if they say, for example, the sky is blue, you have to be able to go, oh, no, actually, the latest science shows that, I'm just making this up, by the way, but you have to be able to show, oh, no, the sky's actually green. We just see it through a strange filter because of this or whatever. If you can argue that point well, then you'll get scored well. Obviously, that'd be a more realistic example there. And again, counter arguments and what we call refutations. So counter arguments are same as the first point, being able to prove something that your opponent says is wrong or come up with a better point of view for it. And a refutation is usually happens during the part of the debate where you get to ask each other questions and you are able to, lost my train of thought there for a moment, my apologies. So yeah, refutations, that's where you get to ask the opposing team questions and you get to try and pick holes in their arguments and try and find the weak spots in their argument so that you can then make better points and try and prove them wrong again. And finally, the judges will score your teamwork. So your teamwork is, you don't want just 3 people sitting there with their own arguments. They haven't worked with their teammates and they're just saying what they've got to say and then they go home. So to be a good debating team, you need to work with your partners. You need to work with your teammates. You need to work out together what is the general idea behind your arguments and which argument each team member is going to take. Just to avoid things like, you don't want 2 team members talking about the same thing unless they can provide, say, 2 different points on it. And as well, you want to support your team members' arguments. So when it's the second speaker's turn to talk, they might, for example, they might call back to something that the first speaker said. So remember when my first teammate said this, I would like to add on to that point and say this. So then you'll add your information on that topic and you work together as a team to present the best possible arguments. Does all of that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Awesome. Check
Yes.
Awesome, that's fantastic, guys. So the next thing that we need to talk about is the criteria. So this is another set of, sorry, I'll explain that better. So when we look at what we've just talked about, the criteria is how the judges actually mark your arguments or mark what you've said. So the first point that they'll look for is clarity. So they'll check to make sure that you're communicating well and that you're making your ideas nice and simple for everybody to understand. And they'll also be looking for structure to your arguments. So does one point lead into the next point that you make well? So you're not just saying, for example, oh, I think butter should be kept in the fridge. But then when I go into the bathroom, I think that the toothpaste should go in the cupboard. It's just 2 completely random things. You want to make sure that you connect your arguments well and that one point builds on the next. So you create as strong an argument as possible. Next, the judges also look for persuasiveness. So we've had a little bit of a talk on some persuasive tactics in the past. So they'll be looking to see how you convince the audience and if you can influence them to take your side of the debate. And also they want to check that you're using your rhetorical devices or our persuasion techniques. They want to make sure that you're using those well. So are you using, for example, rhetorical questions is a great way to start. Are you asking questions to get your audience to think? Are you using, what's another good one? Repetition. Are you using just these techniques that will get the audience on your side? Number 3, they look for organization. So we kind of covered this in clarity with the structured and coherent arguments. They look for a structure that makes sense and a good flow to your argument. So one point wants to lead on to the next point, wants to lead on to the next point. So you don't just have all these different ideas floating around. And as well, they want smooth transitions between points. So taking my interesting example of butter in the fridge and then toothpaste in the cupboard idea, that's just 2 random points that don't really go together when you say it like that. But if you can make your arguments flow well together with good transitions, so you might be able to say something like, I think that butter should be kept in the fridge so it doesn't go off. On the idea of putting things away, I think to keep the bathroom more tidy, we should put the toothpaste in the cupboard. So I found a way to almost make those ideas connect, and that's what the judges are looking for. And finally, they'll also look for evidence. So they'll look for use of relevant and reliable evidence to support your ideas. So in some of your teal paragraphs that you sent in, some of you did absolutely fantastically with your evidence and your referencing. So you provided some information that was very much about the topic, and you told us very clearly where that information came from and who said it. So that is what they're looking for with your evidence. So understanding how debates are scored helps the participants improve their debating skills, and it promotes fairness in assessing arguments. So if we know what the judges are looking for and how they're going to mark us, we can do everything we can to make sure that we get as good a score as possible. By considering the components of scoring and using this scoring guide, participants can enhance their performance in future debates. So again, by knowing what the judges are looking for, we can, what's the word I'm looking for? We can do all of those things and get scored better. And of course, just to throw this out there, we have just covered a lot of different things that the judges are looking for. So we shouldn't expect everything to go perfect straight away. It's going to take practice. It's going to take, practice and study and time to get all these skills down well. So have some patience with yourselves. Keep working when you're looking at improving your debate skills, and over time you'll just get better and better and better. So John, you got your camera working. So let's go over each of those debate topics, or not debate topics, each of those scoring topics, and let's think of some ways that we can try to ensure that we're doing those things. So, okay. So first of all, let's start with content. So what are some things that we can do to make sure that our argument is as strong as possible? Andrew.
We must do allow research and to find allow research to find the best argument.
Very good. So we should do a lot of research to find the best points to argue. Very good. Does anybody else have any ideas? How could we create the strongest possible argument? Andrew, do you have another one?
Yeah. So
Go on.
we can use different words to strengthen our argument, such as, in my opinion, I strongly believe, or considering to the arguments.
Very good. So we can use persuasive language. Good. We can use persuasive language. So we can use these little tricks, like saying, in my opinion, I strongly believe, because using language like that can influence the audience's decision. So rather than just saying, oh yeah, I think, Andrew had a good example there, in my opinion, sounds more formal, and people will respond to that formal language more positively than if we just talk really casual. Does anybody else have any ideas? Luna.
There are the devices, and well, one of them can be like some repetition.
Very good.
And I have an example for this. Better.
Very good, Luna. Thank you. So we can use our rhetorical devices. or we can use our so we'll call them rhetorical devices or persuasive tricks. Very good, Luna. So like Luna mentioned, we can use repetition, or we can use even a rhetorical question. So just these little tricks that we can use to help the audience remember our points of view better. Very good, guys. I'll add one to the board as well. And I will say solid evidence. I'm writing on my side there. That is supposed to be one word, just says evidence. But using solid evidence is a great way to come up with a strong argument. So if we have evidence that nobody can prove is wrong, then our points of view are going to be very, very hard to counter and pull apart. So very good work, guys. That's great. We've got some really good ideas there. So now let's move on to the next one, which is use of evidence and examples. So now we can say use of evidence and examples. So what are some good tactics that we can use when it comes to evidence and examples? Ah, nice, Andrew. Giving us the formal debating phrases. So these are actually, those are actually a very good example of using more formal language while we're debating. So very good, Andrew. Well done. So now, what are some examples that we can use, or what are some good tricks to use when we want to use evidence in an argument? I'll get us started with the first example. We can use statistics. So if we have statistics to use in our argument, that can make a very strong case because that is actually research that has been done where somebody's gone out and just asked a whole bunch of people or they've a question, or they have done a little experiment on a whole bunch of people, and they actually have the numbers to back up and say, this is how many people have done this thing, or this is how many people believe this, or whatever your statistics are about. They're a great source of evidence. Can anyone think of any other good, strong forms of evidence we could use? Anyone? We've talked about some of these, some of the types of different evidence that we can use. Andrew.
Okay, so we can use some kind of examples, or let me think
Good.
about it.
Good. So we can use examples. And using examples, thank you, Andrew. That was a great idea. So using examples can be a great form of evidence, because using examples proves that people have said things or done things in the past that support our argument. So if we can list an example as our in our evidence, that's very good proof, because it goes to prove our point, because people have done it or said it in the past. Very well done. Can anyone think of another type of evidence we could use? Good, we can use facts. So yeah, we can use just information that we find from a reputable source. So anybody that people will believe if we say that, if we mention their name. So for example, I wouldn't just say, oh, my friend John over here said this, because everyone would be like, well, who's John? But if I was to say, for example, Dr. Albert Einstein said this, said that this fact was true, everyone would be like, wow, Einstein said it. It must be true. So by adding a good source of information, we can prove our facts to be true, and they'll make our argument stronger. Okay. Let's have a look for one more type of evidence. What's one more type of evidence that we can use, guys? Nope. I've never heard of that type of evidence before. What's one more type of evidence that we can use? There are lots more, truth be told, but I'm just looking for one more. What's everybody watching? Nope, question marks, what? Speak to me, people, what's going on? Okay, so nothing. I almost believed you when you said that, Kevin. Can't even see you on camera right now, but I almost believed you when you said that. So another type of evidence that we can use is quotes. So we can use quotes. So if people say to us that, yeah, so if if people, yes. So if people say something, so for example, if somebody on the news says something that's been recorded or somebody's written it down and we can prove that they've said it, it's called a quote. So right now, I don't think this had ever happened, but just giving you a random example, right now I could say, the sky is blue and the grass is green. So you could then use that as a quote if it ever served an argument in a future debate. You could say, oh, well, teacher Michael said that the grass is green and the sky is blue. So that's an example of a quote, except obviously looking for evidence, you would want a stronger quote than that. That's just an example. So, bruh. All right, let's look at delivery now. I want to speed this up a bit so we can get through all of the components of scoring. So let's look at presentation skills. It's a very interesting chat we've got going on today. So we can look at presentation skills. So what are some tips that we can use to improve our presentation skills when we are speaking in public or speaking in a debate? Andrew.
We need to be very polite and use formal phrases as I sent in the chat.
Very good. So we need to be polite and respectful. So that extends quite deeply into a debate, actually. So being polite is obviously using your manners, speaking when it's your turn, not interrupting people when they're speaking, and making sure that we're really listening well. And another point that can serve is if you're listening to what the other people are saying, you can formulate your counter arguments way easier. Because if you remember and you listen to what they say, you can take notes and come up with your counter arguments. Andrew, do you have another one?
Yeah, so we need to manage our time, and even if we manage our time, we need to have enough arguments and support.
That is excellent, Andrew. Well done. So we need to make sure that we manage our time so that we have a chance to make all of our own arguments and offer a rebuttal to any arguments made by the opposing team. Well done. Somebody else, give me something. Come on. Kevin. What is a presentation skill that would help us in a debate, that would get scored well?
We give many good points, and our researching is good.
we've moved on from that. We're looking at presentation skills now. So how do we present the argument? How do we present the argument to the judges and to the audience that's going to get us scored well?
Can I have my last chance to speak?
Okay, Andrew, throw us one more.
So we need to focus on the motion or topic that we are debating. And we are avoiding off from unrelated targets.
Very good. Keep on the topic. No tangents. Very good, Andrew. So I'll add one to the board now as well. And then I'd like somebody else to give me an example too. So body language. So how do we look to the audience? How do we look to the judges? Do we look confident and standing up tall? Or do we look slumped over like we don't really care and we don't want to be there? So how do we look to the people in the audience is an important one. Who else has got another idea? Amy, do you have any ideas? Katie, how about you? Rio? Oh my gosh, Katie, is that Doraemon in your background? I used to love Doraemon when I was a kid. How about you, John? Do you have any ideas? Tom, how about you?
I don't have any ideas.
Stella, how about you?
I think we should keep on track and don't think about things like when we are talking on a topic and when we are talking about the examples that we jump into another topic that is not.
Very good. So we had that one on the board. Keep on the topic. Don't go talking off about other random things. All right, Andrew, you look like you've got an idea you want to get out there. What's another idea you've got?
Okay, so my idea is we need to give everybody a chance, like we need to allow all of the participants as well as audience to express their viewpoints and contribute to the discussion.
Good. Body, not every boy. Give everybody a chance to speak. Good. So that one comes back to being polite and respectful. We want to give everybody a chance to speak. And Kevin, the reason that it always seems to be Andrew is because I ask other people and no one has any ideas. But then Andrew has an idea, so he gives us the idea. That's why. If anybody else has an idea, I would love to hear from other people as well. Oh. So our next topic to have a talk about is voice modulation. So that's basically just voice control. So what are some tips for voice control? Okay. I'm going to go with Stella first this time. It's nice to hear from somebody new. Stella, what's your idea for voice control?
I think we should speak clearly, not so small and not so big.
Very good. So we want to speak clearly so everybody can understand us. Well done. You also said we also want to project our voice. So we're nice and loud, we're not quiet. But you also said don't scream. You said don't be too loud. So very good, Stella. Very good indeed. We want to speak clearly so that everybody can understand us. We want to project our voice so we're nice and loud so that everybody can hear us. But we don't want to scream. So we don't want to be like crazy loud so that the audience is sitting there like, ah. Very good, Stella. Well done. Okay, Katie. Let's hear what your voice control tip is.
My voice control is don't speak too loud and too small, or no people will hear, and you need to speak normal so everyone will hear in the same time.
Very good. So we've got those ones on the board here. Project our voice, but don't scream. Don't be quiet. Good. Kevin, what's your tip for voice control for the class?
My tip is that we speak so that everyone thinks that we very believe it. Like I think that and they'll be like, we have a think that is very strong about our argument, so that the opposite team will be like, they will be scared because of your voice.
Good. So speak with confidence. So the more confident that we speak, the more believable we sound. So Kevin said we want to sound like we believe what we're saying. So that is to speak with confidence. Well done, Kevin. Good job. And I'm going to invite Tom to speak next. What's your voice control tip for the class, Tom?
My voice control tips a little bit different, but I don't know. It's something like voice control.
Yep. So how do we want to control our voice? What do we want to do with it?
Now if we talk with our voice, like talking our words, we don't use heavy words with people. They can hurt their feelings.
Ah, okay, I understand. So we want to control our language. We want to stick to the point and not attack other debaters. That's a good point, but that would come in a different category, but still a good point. I'll add one. we can add emphasis. So emphasis is which word in the sentence that we give the most effort. So I'll say a sentence twice and I'll change my emphasis to demonstrate what that means. So I could say, I could say, I had an apartment by the park. So by emphasizing park, I'm emphasizing where it was. So I'm making that the important thing that I'm saying. Or I could say, I had an apartment at the park. And by emphasizing the word had, I'm emphasizing the point that I used to have it, that I don't have it anymore. And we can use that emphasis technique to really highlight the important words in a sentence that we're saying. So just then, when I said that sentence, we can really highlight the important words that we're saying. I could say it like that and say highlight and really let you know that I want you to make those words important. Emphasis. So if you think about the word, the perfect example, if you think about the Vietnamese food pho, you spell it P-H-O, but you pronounce it pho. And it's just the same in English. When you see the P and H, it makes the F sound. So emphasis. George is hungry again. We're nearly at the end of class, guys. So good job coming up with all of those points on voice control, everybody, particularly Stella for that one. She had some fantastic arguments to make, some fantastic points to make. So our next point that we want to focus on is body language. Oh, you are not dying, Tom. I haven't even had breakfast yet, and it's nearly 3 o'clock in Australia. I haven't had anything to eat today. So if I can survive for 10 more minutes before lunchtime, I'm sure you can. So now we're looking at body language. Man, this group chat in today's lesson's been absolutely wild. So let's look for some good body language. Some good body language tips. So who's got an idea about body language? Okay, I'm going to go to you first, Stella, but just quickly before I do.
I think we should do simple body language, like when we are talking, like we should not play video games. We should use simple, not like hard, like just use a little bit of body language so the person can understand the words only, not the body.
Okay, Stella made an interesting point there. We want to use our body language so that people can understand our words. And that's actually a very interesting way to put it. So use body language to help people understand our words. Very good, Stella. So, for example, if I was saying to you, oh goodness, I'm just checking with everybody. I was just checking with everybody for that message. We know the word is actually hungry, right? Not hoogry. But good. It's just become a joke with the class. That's good. Okay, so we want to use our body language to really help us emphasize the point that we're making with our words. So if I'm standing there, nice and confidently, or I'm sitting up in my chair here, and I'm looking at the camera and I'm explaining this to you, and I'm explaining this to you confidently, it gives off the opinion that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm confident, that I believe in what I'm saying. But if I'm sitting there, I think I need to reset my camera. There we go. But if I'm sitting there like, yeah, so we need to, we need to do this. You're going to look at me and think, well, he's not very confident. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's hungry. So, very good point, Stella. We use our body language to help people understand our words. Who else has a point about body language? No, not food, Tom, body language. We have another 2 minutes worth of class before we finish up. And then you can go worry about your food. So who has an idea about body language? Who has a good idea about body language? Stella, do you have another idea?
Yes.
Let's hear your idea.
I think we should be confident when we are using body language. Like if we are not confident, we will do like mistake if we're not confident. So we need to be confident when we are using body language.
Good, very good. So we need to show confidence. We need to show confidence in our body language. And we're going to have a lesson on this in the not too distant future, probably next week sometime. We're going to talk about how to use our body language, because body language, just to sum it up for you, body language isn't something that, well, it can be something that we know about and that we try to do, but it also is something that it happens because of how we feel. So for example, if we feel happy, there's someone named Human in the chat. Good heavens. Oh goodness. So so we can try to control our body language. So we can contrive. Luna changed her name to Human. Very clever. So we have, so our body language, we can control it at certain times. So we can make ourselves look more confident, look more happy. But sometimes when we feel things like sad or angry, you know, our body language might change. We might get a little bit more, we'll look sad. So that's what our body language is. But we're going to have a lesson on some body language basics. Brutal, Stella, brutal. So we're going to have a lesson coming up on body language soon, and I'll show you guys how to show that you're confident during your debate. And yeah, we've got lots of other topics coming up as well. So fantastic work today, everybody. Your homework, which I will send in Zalo. Your homework, which I will send in Zalo, is I'm going to send you a report card and a debate scorecard. And I want you guys to search on YouTube and watch videos of debates. We'll say, I want you to fill out 6 scorecards, and you can either do one debate video of all 6 speakers and evaluate all of them, or you can just evaluate one speaker from 6 different debate videos, however you want to do it. But I want you to score 6 debate. So I want you to score 6 debate videos using the scorecard that I give you in Zalo. So thanks for your attention today, guys. You can go off and stop being hungry. You can all go get something to eat. Kevin, that's not true, Kevin. We do have homework. Yes.
White boy.
Who just said teacher?
See ya. Bye-bye.
I heard somebody say teacher. Bye-bye.
Teacher.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Who said that? Bye, everybody. Who's saying teacher? Who wants to ask?
Everyone says
Me, a teacher.
As your friends, the person names humans in the chat is still mystery.
Goodbye.
I don't think it's much of a mystery anymore, Tom. I think we figured it out. But goodbye, everybody. Thank you for class today.
Bye, teacher.
Bye.
See you
Don't be
later.
hungry.
Bye. Yes, Katie, what can I do for you?
Teacher, in Thursday,
Yes.
I don't join this class. I will